Hi, welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the FanHome Build the Enterprise D. I am currently working on pack number 12, and in pack number 12 I'll be working on stages 43 through 46. If you haven't done so already, head over to FanHome and subscribe to this today. They are actively taking subscriptions to this. Don't pass up on that opportunity. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the FanHome Star Trek The Next Generation Build the U.S.S Enterprise D. I am working on pack 12, or issue 12, which consists of stages 43, 44, 45, and 46. And you can see here magazine is full of, in the very beginning, your build instructions along with the layout of all your parts, and we'll look at those as we go along in this build on this video. Skip through here to the articles that are contained within this. Remember, this does contain an episode guide for all the TV shows. So we begin here with season 3, episode 3. And this is The Survivors. Next is Season 3, Episode 4, Who Watches the Watcher? Season 3, Episode 5, The Bonding. Season 3, Episode 6, Booby Trap. Season 3, Episode 7, The Enemy. And lastly, Season 3, Episode 8, The Price. Which one of these episodes were your favorite? Please put them in the comments below. Let's go ahead and look at the parts that came in Pack 12. Stage 43, which consists of more of the hull parts, some parts of the cover neck. Once again, stage 44, more hull parts and some additions to the cover neck. Stage 45, more hull parts, but we do receive our second PCB board. And stage 46, more hull parts, and looks like some LED lights to go in on that. Also, in this pack I received another binder to install all the magazines into. That's fantastic there. Let's get started on stage 43. And welcome back. Thanks for joining me again in this build. If you've been following my build, you'll know that I've walked you through step by step on how to install the windows and some of the LED lights underneath the reflective panels. In the beginning, I was using super glue. That was a big mistake. You really don't want to use any kind of adhesive on those LED lights on the reflective panels. Instead, I opted for using some Scotch magic tape to temporarily install them and hold them in place for easy installation. This works great because you can actually pull the LED light out of that area if you need to reroute the wire underneath a frame or anything like that. So I did take you through that in all of the packs leading up to 12, so if you didn't see any of those, go back and watch those and I show you how to handle that. So for now on, I'm going to skip through showing you how the windows and all that are installed. I'm going to show you the end result for those, but I will show you the wire routing through the frames and little tips and pointers here with your build. I hope this has been helpful to you. It has been very helpful to me to watch other builders online doing this, especially RT Ralph. I want to shout out to him once again. He's one of the few builders out there who reached out to me and gave me some tips and pointers and really helped me along with this. So without further ado, let's look at 43. 43 parts are right here. Like we said, we have some deck panels going on here and some additional pieces and parts that go on the cobra neck. And you can see here stage 43, another section of the saucer comes together and lights up for the first time, while the last visible screw holes on the neck assembly are obscured. So we've seen how that's all done. Take that deck panel and install it, route the wires the way they need to be, and I'll show you that. Run them all across. Hooking that up to our battery source to check out the lights, the operation of the lights. Then I bring over the cobra neck and we'll go ahead and install these additional panels. And be aware that I'm reading in social media that the adhesion for these is sticky tape on the back side, does not hold up very well, so you may want to figure out other options that you could glue these down with temporarily so you have access to those screws later on. Lots of things you could use. You could use white glue and that would hold it in place, stuff like that. And please excuse the air conditioner running in the background. We've been pretty hot here in the southwest here lately. Temperatures exceeding 105 degrees each day. Although it is monsoon season, so every now and again you may catch a glimmer of thunder and going on in the background, and it makes it pretty cool. It does cool us down a bit and gives us much needed moisture and rain. So here's the parts we received with 43. Let me take these out and I'll give you a closer look at them. And here's a close-up of those parts. I go ahead and give you a view of these parts just so you know what to expect to see in each parts pack. You know, every now and again, like all humans, things are forgotten and misplaced in these packs. So just be aware of that. This is for your benefit to know what's actually contained within those parts packs. So we have another deck panel, and it's made of metal, pre-painted, pre-finished. I love how it's finished. Looks great. Of course, we have the blackout windows, the clear windows. We have the covers, and looks like the transporter grid, these are made of photo etch here. These three here, this is painted the color of the cobra neck. It has 3M tape on the back, but like I said, the adhesion here leaves a lot to be desired. Just be aware of that. And then same thing with the photo etch parts. They have the same 3M tape on the back. And then we have press fit panels to cover the screw holes, along with the little small circles to cover screw holes too. I will not install these. I'm going to put these away for safekeeping till last. The very last part I do for this build will be to insert those so I don't lose them. Clear windows, of course, blackout windows, BM, EM screws, and another set of LED lights. And there you go. There's my windows installed, the clear along with the blacked out windows. I'm going to go ahead and take this LED harness here, and we're going to thread that through the frames and install this on the framing. So I'll be right back with that. Okay, I brought over the saucer. We're going to be working on the right hand side of the saucer. This is looking at it from above on top. And what you want to do is make sure that you don't have any LED wire bundles running on top of your reflector panel here. If they are, you should loosen up the panels and reposition those wires so they're not going to interfere with this installation. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to install the LEDs onto this panel, and they show us simply taking and separating your wires like we've done all along, and we're going to run this under this panel here and on top, just like that. Put my tape on it, And there you go. Now I'll go ahead and flip this over, and we're going to install our deck panel, and the windows will be locked in from these reflector panels. So you can see here's the two LEDs we put in. Going to route those wires back to the bundles that are already in place here through that opening. I'm going to go ahead and run our panel underneath and lock it in with our EM and BM screws. Here's our panel, and this is going to lock in on the other panel. It's got a groove, a notch on the bottom side, so it needs to go over the top of the other one. So we'll take and line that up. There we go. Put a little oil on my BM screw and we'll lock that down. I'm going to put in 6 total. And the last one. Now we want to make sure all these BM screws are tight, locked down really good. Next we'll put in 4 EM screws into the plastic. These have a flange. And the last one there. We're going to go ahead and do a light test. Let me turn this over. And you can see, here's our panel we just put in. Looks great. All the windows are in place like they should be. Now we'll do a light test. Go ahead and light up these panels here and plug them in to our battery box. Got that one and that one. There you go. They all look good. Now let's move on to the Cobra neck. Okay, brought over the Cobra neck. We're going to install 2 panels here. Now this panel right here is going to cover up that hole, and you can see it is slightly curved, but it's actually curved a little bit too much. You can see that. So I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit. Very, very pliable. Took off the backing of the tape. We're going to line this up on the Cobra neck and stick it down as much as possible. Same with the transport emitter pad here. And that's just going to lay down on that. That's how that looks. Looks good. Then our next panel is just going to press fit in place. Makes that nice. And the last panel, you can see it does have a bend to it. And it press fits in place. It only goes in one way. And that's how that looks. So there's all your panels in place. You can go ahead and install the last transport emitter pad. Peel the tape away, the backing there. And line it up where it needs to go and press it down. There you go. Looks good. There's the other two. And our panel's installed. Looks great. That's all we do with stage 43. Let's head over and do stage 44. Welcome back. Let's look at stage 44 parts. Once again, more deck panels and more parts for the Cobra neck, more LED lights, and just a 2-pager here for stage 44. And we're going to install more windows again on this panel here. Install the reflectors to hold those windows in place along with the LED lights. Do a light test. And we're going to go ahead and install that on the saucer up above here. Put in our BM screws, and that should be it with that. Then we'll work a little bit more on the Cobra neck. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 44. Let's get a closer look. And here's a close-up of those parts. We received 2 escape hatch pod covers, the windows once again, another deck panel, again made of metal, very nice there. I love the finish on it. 2 reflectors for that panel, and more pieces for the Cobra neck. I love it. It has Enterprise Tempo painted on it already. Looks great for both of them. BM, DM screws, and another set of LED lights. All the windows and life wrap pod covers are installed as per the instructions, and I've already installed the LED lights onto the reflector panels, and that's how they should look, just like that. Now we'll go ahead and lay these down where they need to go, right there, and bend that up right there, just like that. I'll secure those down with DM screws, and that panel's installed there. Go ahead and take this one and put it down the other side. Put 3 more DM screws into that, and the last screw. And there we go. Go ahead and do a light test of these. There you go. Lights look good. Now we'll go ahead and install this on the saucer. Alright, our panel's going to install on top here on the right hand side of the saucer. Our wiring is actually going to go in through here, through that opening right there. Here's our panel. We're going to route that through that panel like I showed you, and it's going to notch down. And I'm bending up my wires so they're kind of out of the way, and it's going to notch in just like that. Okay, so both of these screws were installed, and I had a heck of a time getting that panel to line up because it has the 3 lugs on it. So the 3 lugs, there's a lug here, a lug there, and a lug there that gets inserted. The center lug appears to be a little bit too thick and too large. I ended up having to loosen up all my screws on the panels below it, and with that lug I took a file and I filed down the lug a little bit to get everything to fit flush. So that may be just a problem with my kit and not yours, but to let you know, I finally got everything lined up and got all my screws back in. But it was some work. It took me about an hour to get this to line up, and the only lug I had to file down to get it to fit in correctly was that center one. So there you go. That's how that works out there, and everything's lined up and secure. All the screws are back in and secure. Okay, so let's head over and work on the cobra neck next. Okay, I brought over the cobra neck, and we're going to install this panel right here that goes along. And this panel marked with an R for the right side, and it's just a press fit. That way later on, if you need to access the screws, you can do so. And press it in. That looks good. We'll do the other side next. And of course it has an L on it. And we'll press fit that in place next. And there we go. Locked in place. And that's how that looks. That's all I do with stage 44. Let's head over and do stage 45. And welcome back. I hope my little tip on stage 44 helped you out. Now let's begin with stage 45, and here's the parts that came with that. We have our second PCB board, and more details here. Okay, 45 looks a little more involved. This wide-ranging stage takes in the creation of another deck panel, the addition of a second saucer PCB, and new parts for the starboard warp engine's nacelles. So there's our deck panel. Get that going here. Do a light test for it. I'm going to go ahead and install that panel on the saucer. Then we'll look at putting our PCB panel, install that in place, give it a good inspection, make sure everything is hunky-dory with that, all the connectors are there and none are missing. Then we'll start plugging in some of our wiring for the lights onto the panel. We'll install some tie straps. We'll leave them loose like we did before. Install some more lights, another tie strap, leave it loose again. And we'll do a light test. We'll go ahead and plug in our battery box and light it up, see how everything looks on that. And we're going to assemble the first field grill reflector. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's parts for 45. Let's get a closer look. And here's those parts. Here's our PCB panel, and everything appears to be okay, and nothing's missing this time. Looks good. I like how they covered the backside to any exposed connectors or anything like that, so that's great there. So that's number 2 board. Another deck panel, this time made of plastic. The reflector for it. 1.5 blackout windows, 2 clear windows, 4 tie straps, little blocking tape here. Are the warp engine field grill, LED lights, AM, BM, BP, CP, and FM screws. And here's the next panel. All the windows are installed. A little bit fiddly here, but that's what it looks like. I go ahead and put some tape on the top here to lock those in. And there's the tape installed on those. Next, I go ahead and put the LEDs on the reflector panel. And there's the reflector panel. LEDs are installed, and this is going to go straight down. just like that, and BP screws go into this. There we go, and windows look good. Now we'll go ahead and do a light test. There we go. They all look good. Now we'll go ahead and install this on the saucer. Brought over the saucer, and I'm working on the right hand side. Here's our panel. It's simply just going to insert through this square here, and I'm going to bend these LEDs down and line up everything like they should be. Line up everything in the notches there. Turn this over, and 2 CP screws go into this. And that's how that looks there. That looks good. Next, I'm going to go ahead and install the PCB board. And that's going to go right here in this area. And this board is going to mount right there and right there. 2 FM screws will go into this, one over here and one on the end over there. Okay, both are tight. Both the screws are in right here and right there. Now we'll hook up our wiring to the board. So I had the short wire that was plugged in right here. I took it off and plugged it in over here, and then I ran the other end to this end over here. So they're plugged in together. Now we're going to run our bundles of wires from this side over to our board. And should be 4 connectors here, which there are. Okay, so I gathered the wires, LED wires, from the right side as you're looking at it on the screen, and I only found 4 of them. The instructions show 5, but I don't see 5. There aren't 5 over on this side. So I went ahead and installed the wire ties. One right here. I left it loose, and a little further over right there, and I left it loose also till later. I'll tighten all these down when I'm getting ready to button everything up. Now we're going to hook up some more wires to the PCB board from the other side, I believe. Alright, so I plugged in all the wires coming from the right side, and they want you to identify the deck light panel, and that's this right here, the deck light panel, and definitely don't want to plug that one in just yet into the board, but the others will be plugged in right there. And then I secured it with a zip tie, and I left it loose. Jump ahead a little bit here. We're going to assemble the first field grill reflector, and that's this right here. It has a little opening here, and we're going to insert this into it. You can see there's like a little shelf on this end here, and it's just going to insert into that, just like that. Now we're going to put this aside until the next stage. Plug the battery pack in right here. Here's the battery pack. We'll turn this over. There we go. Everything lit up. Looks pretty good. And like I said, I'm not going to worry about any light blocking till later after everything's assembled. But that's how everything looks. So that's all I do with stage 45. Let's head over and do the final stage for this pack, stage 46. Stage 46 will connect another section of the saucer to the new PCB board before getting to grips with your first light strip for the starboard warp engine nacelle. So we're finally going to be working on that warp engine nacelle. Gonna assemble another deck panel. Put the screws in on the reflector, LED lights also. Install that on the saucer. And we'll go ahead and check out the LED lights for that deck panel, and then we'll plug that into the PCB. And finally, we're going to work on the nacelle light strip. We're going to bring that out, install that on there with the lights, just like shown, and we'll put some screws into that. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's those parts. Go ahead and get a closer view. Here's those parts. Here's our warp nacelle lights. Another panel made of plastic. Very nice there. Reflector, blacked out windows, clear windows, escape pod covers, another set of LEDs, BP and CP screws. And here's our deck panel with all the windows installed and the escape pod covers. And here's our reflector panel with the LEDs installed. Turn that over, and that's going to mount right down on top. Lock everything in place. BP screws go into that. And that's how that looks there. Ready to install this on the saucer. Okay, we'll go ahead and put the panel on next to the other one we just put on previously. And this is going to insert inside here. And mount down just like that. Turn that over. And CP screw goes into this. And there we go. Turn it over. There it is mounted. We'll do a light check, light test itself here. Now let's move on to the next step. And we'll go ahead and run that wiring that we just did the light test on. And that's going to plug in right there. Now let's work on the warp engine nacelle. Bring over our left nacelle. We haven't seen this in a while. And we're going to go ahead and put in that piece, that reflector we got in the previous stage, stage 45. And that's simply going to lay down inside here with the open end facing the inside, just like that. Then I'm going to bring over our LED lights, and you'll notice we have a light coming off the top like that. That's going to mount to the back side here. So flip it around, and it's going to lay down just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and screw these down. Put a CP screw in right here. And that's what they look like there, with the 3 screws in and with the front light. Next we're going to take one of the LEDs, we're going to wrap it underneath here, pull it through just a little bit here, and then it's going to get inserted into that opening, just like that. And that's how that looks there. And that's all we do with stage 46. Looks great so far. And there you have it. That completes pack 12 of the Enterprise D. Had a lot of fun building this, and looking forward to pack 13, which I have on hand. I'll be coming out with that very shortly. Anyway, If you enjoy my video and appreciate my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Remember to head over to FanHome and subscribe to this today. They are actively taking new subscriptions for this. Don't wait around. It may be too late. Happy modeling, everybody, and take care.